back to John Bauman and the Hollywood Square.
175 for the champ. Nothing so far for Joe. Joe, just relax into your seat, concentrate, and pick a star for me.
McLean?
Okay, McLean Stevenson. Was Joan Rivers the first woman to guest host The Tonight Show, or did Arlene Francis guest host the show back in 1962?
No question, Arlene Francis.
He says Arlene Francis did guest host that show in 1962. What do you say, Joe?
I agree.
Arlene did it in 1962. You're right to agree. You get the square, and you're on the board. And you know how quickly things can change in this game, champ, so you got to try to keep the pressure on with another X if you can.
Gene, please.
Mr. Rayburn.
Yeah.
While driving through the Dutch countryside, you see a number of cows covered with blankets. Are they pregnant, or are they used for transportation?
I have driven through the Dutch countryside, and I've never seen a cow covered with a blanket. So I'm going to have to take a wild shot at this and guess, which is really not the object of the game. You're supposed to know or give a good bluff, and I can't do either at this point. I would say, now let's see. You know Barbara Woodhouse?
Are we going to have time for the soap opera that comes on after this?
Barbara Woodhouse puts a saddle on a cow and jumps them over fences. So cows could be used as beasts of burden, even though we know them as milk givers. So I'd say yes, a cow could be used as a means of transportation.
He says that the cows covered with blankets are used for transportation. Agree or disagree, Nancy?
I'll disagree.
The cows in the Dutch countryside covered with blankets are pregnant. You are right to disagree, and you get the square. Yeah, that makes somewhat more sense. Pia Zadora, I believe, is covered with a blanket. Joe, pick a star for an O.
Jamie, please.
All right, Mr. Farr.
All right, yes. It's Mr. Credit, Mr. Bauman.
You're a woman.
Again? Again with the woman?
You sound more familiar by the minute. You're a woman and you just enlisted in the U.S. Army.
Again?
Are you allowed to fraternize with the male enlistees? Or are they strictly off limits until you're through with basic training?
Having served as both, I would think that you could fraternize with them because you have to go through the same basic training that they go through. You have to go through the same bivouac and all the other things. So I think you could fraternize with them now.
He says you're allowed to fraternize with the male enlistees. If you're a woman, agree or disagree, Joe?
I agree.
You are allowed to fraternize with the male enlistees, and you are right to agree. You get the square and have taken a bit of command in this game. Nancy, pick a star.
Heidi to block, please.
Otherwise, if you miss this one, the game and the lead goes to Joe Credit. Your friend from England called you at 3 a.m. to tell you he'd burst his geyser. Was he talking about his appendix or his water heater?
His appendix.
To block, agree or disagree that geyser is his appendix, Nancy?
I'll agree.
If he burst his geyser, he'd burst his water heater. You should have disagreed. Your opponent gets the square, and your opponent wins the game. Joe Credit, you have done it. You've come back from a lot of ribbing, and you have taken the lead. All right, we are going to clear the board immediately, zip right on to the next game, which is worth $300. We're going to start it with our champ, Nancy.
McLean, please.
After months of research, two chemists from the University of Minnesota finally came up with a new compound. Is it synthetic garlic or wet air?
It is synthetic garlic.
What do you say, Nancy?
I'll agree.
It is synthetic garlic. You were right to agree, and you get the first square and the $300. Wet air? What is wet air? We'll be back to find out. Well, I'm sure we'll never find that out, but we'll find out what happens to the $300 game after this. $275 a 225 for the chance. A close one going. It's a $300 game. Obviously, everything rides on this. Joe, credit your move for an O.
Paula?
Paula Kelly. You're a hungry praying mantis ready to attack a fly. At the last minute, you realize it's dead. Will you still eat it, or does it have to be alive and kicking?
My instinct says it has to be alive and kicking.
What do you say, Joe? Agree or disagree?
I agree.
You will eat the dead fly. You should have disagreed with Paula, and your opponent gets that square. All right.
Oh.
So, Nancy, you got a couple of X's up there. Make your move.
Arsenio to win, please.
This would give you the lead back.
You guys are going to blow up for Joe. Go on.
You always.
Arsenio, we all know that Ronald Reagan's daughter, Patty, is an actress.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's quite okay. We all know that Ronald Reagan's daughter, Patty, is an actress. But the child of another presidential candidate is also trying to make it big in show business. Is it Walter Mondale's daughter or Jesse Jackson's son?
Wow. I'm almost positive it's Mondale's daughter.
What do you say for the game? Agree or disagree?
I'll agree.
It is Walter Mondale's daughter. You are right to agree. You get the square and you win the game. Walter Mondale's daughter is going to be in show business. Nancy Lazarus has taken the lead, but there are 3 X's on the board, which we are now going to remove. We're going to clear the board and zip right along to the $400 game, and anything can happen. Joe, pick a star.
McLean, please.
McLean Stevenson. This is not a safe lead by any means, as you know. Minnie Mouse's guests never showed for dinner, McLean. Can Minnie freeze her cheese balls? Or will they be permanently damaged?
You'll not get a zany answer from me on this one, big guy. You can't freeze your cheese balls. So her cheese balls are going to be bad. Green, fuzzy, bad.
You says the cheese balls will be permanently damaged. What do you say, Joe?
I agree.
Minnie Mouse can freeze her cheese balls. You should have disagreed with McLean.
Never ate it.
And your opponent gets that square, but Minnie is greatly relieved. Nancy, pick a star for an X.
Chuck, please.
All right, Chuck Woolery into the fray.
Thank you.
The way things are going, you get applause because you haven't done anything yet.
Just wait, John.
You're the only innocent person up there, Chuck. When a man sees an ad with a nude woman in it, is he likely to remember the product, or does he usually forget what the ad was about?
You know, they usually tell us when we're going for commercials that they don't like handsome people and they don't like nude women because it usually draws the attention to the person instead of the product. I would say the product. I'm guessing, but I would say the product.
Go away.
Oh, well, pardon me. They would not remember the product.
Right.
They would remember
They usually
the girl.
forget what the ad was about. Agree or disagree, Nancy?
I'll agree.
They usually do forget. The man does forget when the ad has a nude woman in it. I'll buy that. Whatever it was. You got the square. Joe, your move.
Gene for the block, please.
Now, this is absolutely critical at this point in the game because if Nancy wins it, she's got a humongous lead. What is America's longest-running musical, Gene? Is it Grease or The Fantastics?
Fantastics has been going for about 26 years. I think it's Fantastics.
He says The Fantastics is America's longest-running musical. What do you say, Joe?
I'll agree.
Like to agree. It is The Fantastics. You get the square. Two blocks. Very important for you. And it's 25 years, very close for Gene. Only 8 years for Grease. Nancy, your move.
I'll go with Paula, please.
Paula Kelly. You're a typical lighthouse. Are you manned or unmanned?
I'm manned.
She says a typical lighthouse is manned. What do you say, Nancy?
I think I'll disagree.
that is why you have been the champ for 3 days, because the typical lighthouse is unmanned. You are right to disagree, and you get the square. And had you missed that one, that would have put Joe in a very strong position. Hard to disagree at the right time. You have done it well. Time is up. She has done it 4th day in a row. Nancy Lazarus is our champ. $650. Good for you. Very close. Closer than anyone might think. Congratulations. Zoom your way over there. Join Gene. Get set once again for your shot at the big money. Congratulations to you, Joe Credit. Your total leaving here is $300. And of course, thanks for playing Match Game Hollywood Squares. Good for you. You're a good guy. Joe Credit
Now, and we'll return with her in the 9 stars right after these messages.